Hey everybody, it's Life with Jade. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about something I haven't really talked publicly about. If you're very close to me, you may know about it, but if not, this will be news to you. Big story today is I sold feet pics. Only on OnlyFans, but I still did it. And I figured today would be the perfect time to talk about it, talk about my experience, and also get back into doing some makeup because I haven't touched it since Bryce and I went to the Nosferatu movie, which was I think November, December. It was still winter time at that point, and it was just before we got our house. And so I figured, let's break in the new setup a little bit more with some makeup. So we're gonna do it. I'm very excited. I haven't done a makeup Monday or makeup video in quite a while. I think it's been close to a year, so I'm pretty excited. A lot of the products I'm using I'm not going to be talking about because, as you know, there is a whole new list. I think it's called the BDS makeup list. If you're not on Palestine's side, then I'm not going to be talking about you. I'm going to use products because that's what I have, but I won't be talking about it. I'm trying to keep my stance on that. We're very pro-Palestine in our house, so that's what we're doing. Let's get started. I'm gonna be breaking out the Danissa Myrix palette today as well, I think. We're gonna see. I didn't really have a plan for today's makeup. I really just wanted to play. That's what we're doing. So we have this little mirror that comes with the palette. I think it's the Lightworks Freedom palette. Oh my god, it's so gorgeous. Hopefully you guys, oh, it's actually a really decent mirror. And I apologize for my hair. You know, it is what it is, and I have some pimples today, so it just is what it is, and we're just gonna get through it. I'm on my period, so I'm a little emotional and I'm a little breakouty, so just prepping my skin very quickly with some micellar water and some moisturizer just to get rid of some of the excess oil on my face. I've been using these reusable cotton pads. You could literally find them on Amazon or your local Winners, or even probably Shoppers would have some. I've tried to stay away from using cotton pads and stuff like that. I'm trying to be a little bit more sustainable, which is why I have 1,000,001 towels in my house, is because I try not to use paper towel and stuff like that. I'm just going to put a little bit of moisturizer on. So I guess we should get into the story time and not too much the makeup. Basically, I was in a spot in my life where I was still single, by the way. This was not when I was, meeting Bryce or whatever, but I was still single. I was still looking into buying a house, and I was planning on doing it by myself and had no intentions of getting into a relationship at this point. I was just kind of looking for things to make money on, and one of the biggest things that was kind of popping up around this time, because it would have been 2021, 2022 when this happened. I was looking for just little side hustles that I could do. I was looking at potentially getting a second job after doing a 40-hour work week. That was how serious I was into, getting extra money to have a house. So I was looking and I was looking, and for some reason, the OnlyFans ads just kept popping up on my feed. And I was just no judgment or whatever, but I was just kind of that's, that seems like a lot of work to, get a paycheck. But then there was all these stories that were popping up on my feed as well about how people paid off their mortgages, how they sent their kids to college, how they did all this stuff. And I was just and you literally just posted pictures of yourself in lingerie or bikinis or whatever. And then I was this seems potentially a thing, but I'm really not into doing nudes and stuff like that, and I'm really not into showing off my body. So I was just kind of this probably isn't for me, and I just kind of kept on doing my thing. I kept on just kind of seeing it, and then it got to a point where the feet stuff started coming up on my feed, where it was like, oh, you could just literally post your feet pictures and you could just make thousands and thousands of dollars from doing it because, you know, people are obsessed with feet. And I was kind of just like, feet, you say? Kind of took a little bit to research into it of like how much actually goes into selling your feet pictures. And I did that for a couple weeks, and yeah, there was a lot of people that were like, yeah, go for it. It doesn't take that much time. You know, most of your time is spent like kind of advertising, and then you just gotta make sure you upload like a couple times a week, you know, have a little bit of a schedule. And I was like, honey, I could do like 3 weeks worth in like a day. And so I was really interested. Seems very easy. I could do this. I'm already on social media and whatnot. So I kind of looked into it. I talked to my parents about it because at the time I was still living with my parents. Talked to my parents, and they were kind of like, it's just feet, and you know, you're comfortable with doing that. You know, that's what you do. We're supportive of it. That was that. So I finally was like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. So I went and I set up an OnlyFans account. Literally, I think the only thing I need to have was you just have to prove that you're basically 18, you're of age. You have to send in your banking statement. That's what I did. I set it up and I started taking pictures. I started kind of buying stuff to paint my nails. I was buying stuff to wear around my ankles so that, you know, I could add some pizzazz to the photos. I took a bunch of pictures. I started advertising on all these social media platforms. I did Twitter, Reddit, Instagram. Might have had a Facebook page, but I don't think I did. I had a TikTok account. I had one video that went almost completely viral. It was basically about like how people make it seem so easy and it's actually not. Started, you know, posting pictures. The things that I did was I posted on Reddit a lot because Reddit was apparently the big thing. Reddit was the place where you really wanted to be because, you know, you wanted to have all the Reddit like neckbeards, you know, interested in you. That got a bunch of attention. I don't think people realize how much stuff is on Reddit until you actually go on Reddit, because I literally had never been interested in going on Reddit until I learned that it was kind of one of the things that you had to join to be big in like the OnlyFans feet industry. You get a lot of messages from people that want to see more. They want to give you tips. They give you a lot of feedback of like poses. They send you images, sometimes very graphic images, just because they're like, yeah, this is what your people are gonna want to see. Like, this is what we want. The tips I took in, some of it I didn't. Other tips I didn't take because I didn't want to post more than just my feet on OnlyFans, and I didn't want some neckbeards pushing me into that either, because I don't get pushed into things I don't want to do. The things that I did when I did the OnlyFans thing is there's like 2 different accounts you can set up. You could do a pay-per-view one, or you could do like a monthly subscription. I did both. That's what everybody recommended, so that's what I did. I tried to advertise on Twitter like all these discounts and whatnot. It kind of worked. I did have a bunch of people like at least follow the account, but people really, like, when you get onto like the foot pics and whatnot, they really just want a whole lot of stuff for free. They do not care that you're trying to be like side hustle lady. They are just like, we like your feet, I want more, gimme. And that really irritated me because I have never asked for anything for free of just a strange person that was trying to make a side hustle. You know, that just to me was not fair, not appropriate. That's what I dealt with. I just dealt with a lot of people wanting a lot of free stuff that I wasn't willing to give. And when you aren't willing to like give free stuff, they kind of just like unsubscribe from you, or they just like stop following you. And a lot of the time was discouraging because, you know, you're trying to make some money off there, but it's not really working because all people want is just free stuff. And I even talked to one of the guys that I work with, more of like a rant, at work, honestly. And he basically just gave me the advice of like, stop posting the goods, like don't post any of your feet pictures, you know, have what you have up, and then just kind of like try and figure out a way to like block your pictures and whatnot. I tried to figure out ways to do that, but then I figured out that my engagement started going down because of it, because people were mainly following me just to see my feet pictures. Real tired of it real fast, because, you know, I only had made like $20, and that was from some guy who subscribed, and then I DM'd him for a little bit. Nothing too, you know, fancy or whatever. It just was more of like him complimenting me, which, I mean, I do have pretty nice feet. At the end of the day, I just really got tired of people trying to get like free stuff out of me, and also just like not making a whole lot of money like all these people said, because yeah, a lot of people like it's kind of like an MLM program where people just really try and get you to join with this promise of making thousands of dollars, when in reality people who already have a following are the ones that are making these thousands and thousands of dollars, because people are like, yeah, we want to see more. I didn't have any sort of following. I think I had like 100 people on my personal Instagram page, and I don't even think I had 100 followers on my Lifewithjayde page. I had nobody that was like, oh, we want to see her pictures. All right, I think I'm gonna dip into this really pretty shade. I'm gonna start in the middle and kind of do a little pat. Ooh, very pretty. Yeah, honestly, I just got to the point with the whole OnlyFans thing where I was getting really tired of people just wanting free stuff out of me. And I was at that point looking into potentially getting into like a relationship as well, because I was kind of getting the itch. I had been single for about 2 years at that point. So I really was kind of like, ooh, maybe I should, you know, try and get onto online dating or something and see where that takes me. Or, you know, potentially start looking around and seeing, you know, what there is to offer. With everything going on, it was becoming more of a pain to like try and keep going with it rather than just give up. I think that is looking pretty good. I've honestly been feeling kind of like editorial vibes lately, especially, you know, with this palette. I've been watching a lot of, I think her name is still Hannah or something like that. I'll like actually try and put the text down below. She's been doing these awesome like editorial looks, and I've just been feeling heavily inspired by her. Trying it out. I'm gonna take this brush, kind of blend it out. I'm thinking that looks awesome. I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit with some micellar water, and then we'll move on to the face. Honestly, OnlyFans, if you can do it, perfect, but for regular people who work like a 40-hour workday, it is almost unachievable. One thing that I also like dealt with a lot was that when these people were messaging me, they honestly just wanted somebody to talk to. Like, I had this one person, I don't know what this whole person's deal was, but they started messaging me, and they started off by giving me tips with stuff that they think that like the audience would want to see and whatnot, and then all of a sudden it kind of like went into this whole like spiel about like what they wanted to do in life, what they, you know, kind of felt about like TV and movies and whatnot. And it was a very interesting conversation. They referenced a lot of like famous actresses that they wanted to kind of emulate in their style, because I think they wanted to be an actor or an actress. This person just kind of kept talking about what they wanted to like emulate in their acting style, and who they want, and like famous people they wanted to be. And honestly, I think this person just wanted somebody to talk to, especially like a non-judgmental person. I think a lot of these people just want to be talked to. You know, OnlyFans, or at least Reddit, was giving them some sort of community. Yeah, I don't even know if this foundation shade still fits. I haven't been out in the sun very much. Yeah, a lot of these people just want somebody to talk to, especially people that they potentially like or like fantasize about. Which, I mean, I get it. You know, if you're lonely, you need somebody to talk to, I'll be that person. Honestly, really liking how this looks today. I know, I still do like old school makeup where it's like the triangles under the eyes. Don't even judge me. I know they're kind of like out of style now, but I still absolutely love it. I don't do as much of it as I used to because damn, like, I went heavy back in the day. Alright, concealer is on. Looking good, in my opinion at least. Just a small little brush. Honestly, I have no energy to find where my powder puffs went, so we're just going to be using a brush for today. Alright, I'm going to get a bit more of a fluffier powder brush. Get the rest of my face. Oh, hi, baby. Being a good girl. Did you want to say hi to the fans? Okay. You know what? I have a powder puff in here. Honestly, used to not like bronzer at all, but honestly, it's now one of my favorite things other than blush. And now for my favorite part. Obsessed with Makeup by Mario's Desert Rose. It is my all-time favorite blush. I think it's going to be a repurchase for years to come because it is amazing. I like to apply it just like on the top of the cheekbone and then work my way down. Alright, I'm gonna go back in. With this palette. I'm gonna dip it in that same shade. And I'm using like a super dense fluffy brush. And I'm just going to... I think I brought it down a little bit too low for me, but honestly, we're just playing today, so... I'm gonna do a bit of an inner corner highlight and go into this like goldy yellow shade. I know it's not super like on vibe or whatever, but who cares? And I'm gonna pop that in the inner corner. Spritz. I'm just gonna take like a super fluffy, like kind of like a stipple brush and just tap it on the high points of my cheek. Oopsie daisy. Alrighty, and this is how we're looking so far. I'm going to be using a Huda Beauty Liquid Matte in Sweet Talker. And this is the final makeup look. I think it turned out pretty good. In conclusion, I honestly think that if you already have a following and you are totally fine with doing like feet pictures or even more, I think OnlyFans could work out for you. But honestly, if you're like a regular person like how I am and you just wanted to do like an extra side hustle to pay off your debt, you know, pay for some of your goals, I don't think it's worth it. I think that it's a waste of time and money because you do have to spend money to make money sometimes. I think it's just a waste. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!